And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're going to be taking a look at Star Wars X-Wing Miniatures game. Now, I've already reviewed Star Wars the X-Wing Miniatures game, but this is a new base set that just came out in stores. Specifically, it came out at Target, but I think it will be in other stores very soon. And this is a game that lets you play X-Wing, where you're flying X-Wings and TIE Fighters around. It comes with one X-Wing and two TIE Fighters, and you can buy multiple sets and more to make this a bigger experience. And this is completely compatible with the original game. This just has the new models from the new movie, The Force Awakens, that's coming out in December 2015. Now, if you've never played X-Wing before, strap on your seatbelts. It's a really cool and fairly simple game. Let me show you. Now in the box comes one X-Wing and two of these TIE Fighters. And you can buy multiple boxes if you want to have more than just these three ships fighting each other, and I would recommend that. And Fantasy Flight makes a lot of different things. You can have A-Wings and B-Wings and the Millennium Falcon if you want to in this game, and you can add them. And you're going to do that by taking cards such as this one here. And this card tells you everything about the ship that you're flying. So I might decide that I'm flying with Poe Dameron, or the Blue Ace here, or a Red Squadron Veteran, or a Blue Squadron Novice. So if I do this, this card here costs 24 points. It shows me the stats. If there is any special abilities, which there isn't on this ship, they'd be mentioned here, and the actions that that ship can take, and the upgrades. You'll notice these little icons down here in the corner. And so these are all the cards that come with the game. There's actually quite a few different ways you can build your ship. The game also comes with a few upgrades, not very many at all. Each upgrade has a type, which is down here in the corner, and on the back of the card, and these will also cost points. So essentially, you and your opponent decide on a certain number of points that you're going to use, and then you just basically build a ship. So maybe I take an X-Wing, and I've added proton torpedoes to it. So if I take Poe here, he costs 31 points, plus those 4 would make 35 points. So my opponents would also have 35 points to make. Once you do that, you're going to have a 3x3 area, and you're going to battle each other. Now, when you put your ship down on the table to start the game, you're going to put down a marker here on the bottom that matches the ship card that you've made. And there are many different markers for different pilots. So here I have the Blue Squadron Novice. That's the one I'm using here. So that helps you keep track of some of your stats. And you also will get a wheel here, a maneuver wheel that you'll be able to use with your ships that you've chosen. At the beginning of each round, you're going to search through this wheel for the maneuver that you wish to do. And then you're going to place that face down next to the ship. Once everyone's done that, you reveal them. Now, each ship has a pilot score. You notice this ship has a pilot score of 2. And the higher the score, the better the pilot's ability is. First, all ships will move. When all ships move, you start from the lowest pilot score and go up. So then I look at the kind of movement I've done here. So here I've done a 1 straight ahead. So I take a look through all the different maneuver templates that come with the game. And there are quite a few different maneuver templates with the game, but I'm looking for this little small one here that just says 1. I take this, I place it at the front of the spaceship. Let me show you it from the side. I place it here at the front. There's some notches in the plastic base here. And then I hold this down and I move it here. And I've just moved 1 forward. Perhaps I did a 2 curve. So I would use this one here. This is a 2 slight curve. I'd put it here, and I do this. There are some maneuvers. Let's say I'm making a loop. If I use a loop, I would do this and spin around. The TIE Fighters have something that lets them essentially barrel roll, where they can do this and then come back around and turn like that. And then the X-Wings also have a special maneuver that is in this game. It's called the Talon Roll, where basically you'll maneuver like this, a typical 3 curve, or they'll move, but instead of going like that, they kind of spin 90 degrees and they're ready to attack somebody like that. So players are going to be making these maneuvers. Now when you look at the dial here, you'll notice that there's white, green, and red. If you ever use a red maneuver, and they're the hardest maneuvers, so the X-Wing here, that thing I just showed you, the talon roll, there is an example of a talon roll. If he does it as a red maneuver, a red maneuver gives a stress token, and you'll just put that here by the ship. That means they can't make any more of those red maneuvers while they have that stress token. They also can't take an action. There are green maneuvers on the dial. When you take a green maneuver, you can get rid of a stress token. So green maneuvers are good. And then white maneuvers are just normal maneuvers. Now after you go, you can take an action. Actions are based on your ship itself. You can see here that the X-Wing has 3 different actions that it can take. It can take a focus action, and you would put a focus chip there. It also has a chance to do a boost action, which would let it go a little bit farther with a, maybe I want to just shoot forward just a little bit more. So that's an action I can take. And there's many different actions. There's a targeting action, there's an evade action, there's a barrel roll action, the target lock option, which is shown on here. So after you move, you pick what action the ship takes. So all the ships are going to move from the lowest pilot skill to the highest pilot skill. Now after you move, there's a chance that you might be able to shoot somebody. And shooting happens from the highest pilot skill down to the lowest. If you'll notice in the front of each of these, there's kind of an arc of fire. And then there's this measuring stick here, which lets you see how far you can shoot. This TIE fighter is within the X-Wing's range of fire. You'll notice that there's a distance thing here, a 1, 2, and a 3, and that comes into effect, but for the most part you're going to look at the stats on your vehicle, and the X-Wing here rolls 3 red dice when he's attacking, and then I look at the defensive stats on the TIE fighter, and the TIE fighter is going to roll 3 green dice when attacking. When rolling attack dice, you're trying to get regular hits and or critical hits. As a defender, you are trying to roll these dodge symbols. These symbols are on both dice, and they're focus symbols, and if you've taken the focus action, you have a chance to turn those into hits and or evades. If you have the evade action, you get 1 free evade if you're defending, and if you have a target lock action, you have a chance to, if you have the person in target lock, you have a chance to re-roll some of the dice. And there's a few other things involved with this when you're shooting at somebody, but basically it's going to be you're trying to roll more hits than they are rolling evades. Now, when you do hit the enemy ship, if they have shields, they will lose shield tokens. Each ship will get shield tokens equal to the blue number that's on them. Once those shields tokens are gone, though, they'll start taking damage cards. And if they take a critical hit, they actually get a damage card face up, which will basically do something bad to them. This one here is a shaken pilot. This one here is a direct hit. It actually counts as 2 hits. This one here is a major hull breach, which is a pretty terrible one to get. So you have to be very careful not to get those critical hits. So players are just going to keep going till one player blows up the other player or till they accomplish the mission. And there are a few missions included in the game. Now let's say you already play X-Wing. You're going to wonder what the differences are. Well, first of all, we can take a look here at the models. The TIE fighters obviously are black, which makes them a really cool paint job on these. But there's also very small differences in the shape of the body of these. So they're not the exact same model. I thought they were at first, but there are some slight differences. The X-Wings are much easier to tell apart, again, besides their paint job, and I really like the new X-Wing version here. But they're also, you'll notice this, the new X-Wing here has bigger engines on it. And so the new models look better. I guess the Rebellion is doing better. I don't know what's going on in the movie yet, but the models certainly have a different look to them. When it comes to comparing the stats, the new X-Wing models here, the T-70s, I guess that they're called, they have 1 more shield than the old X-Wings, and they also have that boost capability. And they also have an opportunity to have more upgrades. So they're really better in many different ways in this regard, which is shown by the number of points. This is the cheapest X-Wing in the original game, which is 21. The cheapest one in this set is a 24. Although I think that I would be hard-pressed, honestly, to use this one just to shave 3 points off of playing. But hey, this is just kind of to show you a difference on how they look. The TIE Fighters themselves are vastly improved. They have a shield now, which they did not have originally, and they also have an extra maneuver that they can do, targeting lock, which they couldn't do in the first one. Now this is noted by a very large point jump. Here's the original cheap TIE Fighter, which was a 12, and then this one here is cheap and it's 17. And basically it adds the targeting lock and adds 1 shield. It also can be upgraded twice, while the more expensive ones, 20, are actually approaching the cost of an X-Wing themselves. The new maneuver wheels are very similar, with the exception that the new TIE Fighters had the ability to make that quick turnaround, which is a really powerful, cool ability, and the TIE Fighters have the new TIE Fighters have the ability to make that Talon roll. Finally, I should mention that in this box comes a Learn to Play guide, which teaches you the basic game, which you should probably never play. The advanced game is pretty simple, and the advanced game. Then it comes with a very nice rules reference, and this includes all the different things from many of the different ship packs that have come out, talking about large ships and bombs and things like that. They're all in this rules reference. It's a very handy guide to have. And then there's also a mission guide, which gives you a few missions, 3 missions actually, to go out and do rather than just sit around and blow the other person up, even if that is my personal favorite mission. Now I'm coming at this from the aspect of looking at this as an expansion. I already have X-Wing, and so this is some new stuff. But I'm also glad, for those of you who've never played X-Wing, this is a great jumping on point. Like I said earlier, there really is a plethora of ships. You can have Boba Fett ship, you can have TIE bombers and TIE interceptors and TIE defenders, and there's even gigantic ships, the Corellian Corvette and things that you can bring into battle. There's, I think, at least 30 different ships that you can add, and then when all the different cards and upgrades that are available, there's really a lot going on. This package itself is a really good deal. You get 3 models, which, honestly, is not that much. You probably won't have fun. You'll probably get bored of this base game pretty easily. Now, 2 of them gives you a lot of variety, because 2 X-Wings versus 4 TIE Fighters is pretty cool. Or if you just go out and buy some of these smaller packs, which are available all over the place. Maybe you want to have an X-Wing, a B-Wing, and an A-Wing against a couple TIE Defenders and a TIE Interceptor. You know, and with Darth Vader in one and Luke Skywalker in the other. So I don't mind all that, and I think it's pretty cool. And I would be really surprised if any week now Fantasy Flight announces another line of ships that come from the new movie that will be coming out. I would be surprised if we did not see that. But anyway, what that does is it gives you this huge amount of building. Now, there is a high level of tournament play, which I don't do, but just even on a casual level, it's really fun to put these together, and games can be very quick. If you play with a whole pile and huge forces on each side, sure, they'll be long, but if you play with, let's say, 50 or 100 points per side, battles are very quick. The maneuvering tools work really well. You put them down on the table, you move the ships around, you see what you can shoot, you roll dice, and it goes on. There's luck, of course, rolling the dice, but you need to be smart, maneuvering around, trying to come around the others. I like these new ships. They're very, very useful. That Talon roll and the ability for the X-Wing to boost is a big deal. Those TIE Fighters are much more maneuverable, and that 1 point of shield does help them survive that much longer. If I had any complaints about this starting set, I would say I wish there had been more upgrade cards. I think there's like 5, which isn't bothersome to me because I have plenty of other upgrade cards and other packs. But again, this is kind of just a taste of what the game is. You get a game here, but you're really not going to be content with this very long. You're going to want to go out and get more. Fortunately, there is a whole lot more to get. So overall, thumbs up. If you've never played this before, get one of these. Try it out. Just mess with the system and have fun. And if you have played the game before, well, then you're definitely going to want these because you're going to want to add more X-Wings. And these are some pretty beast X-Wings and TIE Fighters to the mix, especially with the really nice paint jobs that are on them. Hooray! More X-Wing. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff, in stock. Check them out at coolstuffinc.com.